What's up, everybody? It's your favorite Tire Mark's favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the Legacy line Dragstrip. I am in for these. As it turns out, Cody, the King of England, actually treated me to this. I have to hit him up and see if he needs me to reimburse him. It wasn't like a planned thing. It was a long story that's neither here nor there, but he deserves a little bit of credit so far. All right, long story short, Chris had bought him one. They were out together, found another one, bought that one. I believe that's how it went, because I knew I wanted one. And I had it pre-ordered somewhere else, but, you know, why wait? You know what I mean? So we're going to talk about this guy. We're going to compare him with some previous Hasbro Dragstrip offerings, and we're going to move on with our day. This is the first Legacy figure that I will be looking at, but it won't be the last. But we'll get to that in a bit. Anyway, let's talk about accessories. He comes with two of these blasters. Interestingly enough, they actually have some paint on them, which I found somewhat surprising. And it's this purple metallic paint that's done quite nicely on the middle of the gun. So I got to give him credit for that. And he can hold them just fine in a 5mm port. And they will store on the vehicle. So let's talk about the figure. The head is on a swivel. There is a hinge, I believe, but you can't really utilize it here. There is silver, red, and purple paint applied, which is a fair amount of paint apps for a Hasbro figure in general, but specifically for the head of a Hasbro figure, which is nice to see. I dig it. Then we have the chest. We have the little bit of, let me peg that in. We have a little bit of kind of mustard coloring here, which is fine. We have the waist swivel, which is fine. And then we have, I think that's it. And we have the silver accents that show through in the chest. The shoulder pads, I'm not a huge fan of. I don't like the way they look. And which kind of brings me to this. It's like the proportions of the figure I don't think are great. It looks like a child to me. You know, there's just not a lot of heroic look to him. And I don't mean that in the sense of hero and villain. Just in the sense of like something larger than life or intimidating or whatever. Like I actually think that the proportions on this one look at least a little bit more interesting, whereas this looks like somebody like somebody let their kid out. All right, let's continue. The shoulders, we'll talk about the tires when we get to car mode, but get out to 90 degrees, 360 around on a universal. We have a bicep swivel. We have a elbow that gets you past 90 degrees on a single hinge, which is nice. Nothing for the wrist. I don't know, man. I just don't know. Not too much hollowness on the sides, but you do get a ton on the back, all over the place. So that's not the best thing either. This arm's the same way. We have a waist swivel. We talked about that, right? Okay. We have pinned universals for hips, which is nice to see. Get you all the way out for the full Van Damme. Forward and back for the full Monty, so no issues there. Thigh swivel on a cut joint, no issues there. I don't have one complaint with the way they did the hips or thighs. Knees, single hinge, 90 degrees, fine, I guess. And then we have all of this sculpted detail here in the bottom and no accents on it. Like, this isn't supposed to be a literal G1 cartoon translation, right? Obviously, with the shoulder pads. So, like, you know, silver piping here on some of these pipes and stuff, I think would have helped bring some of this to life. Ankles, no tilt up. We do get a tilt down, and we get an ankle rocker to a pretty extreme degree, so that's nice. And then we'll take another quick look at the back. You know, I don't know. It's just not the best. There he is with some previous Hasbro Dragstrip offerings. So a little bit shorter than both. Some things I think are better than the previous, and some things I think are worse. I don't know. I don't see anything here that screams improvement, but I do see sort of just another take on the figure that falls a bit short. Sorry to say. All right, let's get him transformed. I've only done this once, and I did it briefly, so bear with me. So these swivel around his like side arm pieces here, and then that will allow the space for these tires to come down and actually peg in to the back of the forearm. We also got to get these pieces straightened out, and they need to come together, right? Like Aerosmith and the Beatles and Michael Jackson. So we're going to open this up. This will allow these middle pieces to come up and then tab together. And the hands go kind of underneath. And these pieces here with the holes in the back will kind of clip over under onto the panels that were on his forearm. All right. Swivel this around, and then this is on a double hinge, so that will rock down. You could take the head and flip that whole piece underneath. And as you rock this down, the pegs back into the same kind of side gauntlets that we had to rotate for the opening steps. Now, we can swivel the waist 180, bring up the, what is this called? Spoiler. Tab all this together, open up these tabs or these flaps here in the back, and then this whole thing will accordion down on a double hinge. These pieces lock into the top here, and then these pieces close up. I'll clean it up, we'll take a look at it. And there you have vehicle mode. It rolls all right. We have like tension C-clip wheels, which is not good, doesn't look good, and makes it look cheap. At least they're black here in the back, so they're a little less offensive, but the yellow really comes through here, and it really just shows its weakness, in my opinion. The mustard color looks okay where they applied it. It probably should have been applied here. The racing stripes are fine, I suppose. I don't really have a whole lot to say about that. The head's a little bit unfortunate, but not the biggest deal in the world. It kind of looks like it could be a car seat, so I'm not actually mad at that. And then the rest of it, I think, looks okay. You know, no big deal. I'll show you a size comparison. There he is next to the Fans Project Dragstrip, and of course with Tiger Tracks. So, I mean, about the same size as an MP car, almost. You know, a little bit shy. Let's get it from the side here. Just a little bit shy, but not much. Final thoughts-wise, let's start with the negatives. I'll do the transformation for combine mode when we combine this thing, okay? But negatives-wise, I'm gonna try to be as objective as possible. Still, fair amount of hollow bits, lots of visible guts that show assembly. You see the mushroom swivels all over the place. The kind of pinwheel tires in the alt mode, I think, are a huge eyesore. And then my biggest issue with this guy is just aesthetically, he just looks like Dragstrip's oldest son, just in terms of proportions. Like, it has childlike proportions. I've been seeing this more and more with their stuff recently, and I've been trying to point it out. This one is perhaps the most egregious that I've seen. But there are a fair amount of positives as well. Once again, we see a lot of pinned joints. We see it at the shoulder, we see it at the elbow, we see it at the hips, we see it at the knees. I like seeing that. I much prefer that over the overuse of ball pegs that we saw in days past. They've been getting a little bit more pinny recently, and I love to see it. I think it is an advancement. Not a ton of paint, but there is actually a ton on the head, and then the rest of it is applied at least clean and well. And even to receive paint on the weapons is kind of a nice, unexpected touch. Also, articulation works fairly well. Wish we had a little bit more in the knees, but the hips are there, ankle rockers are there, and even on a single hinged elbow, you get a deeper bend than what we see in many offerings these days. I also think the transformation is fun and even interesting, specifically in the upper body, not so much the lower body. So is it a recommend for me? Yes, if you like the way it looks. And that's about all I can say. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.